Masks, no masks, everything. You can do all you want, but you know, you still need help from the boss. We need help from the boss. That's what happened. We need help. Yeah, we need help. It's all right to say it. Now, they'll criticize me for that. How dare he say that? How dare he say that? No, I'll say it. I'll say it. I'll say it. Somebody said to me the other day, "You're the most famous person in the world by far." I said, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." They said, "Yes, you are." I said, "No." They said, "Who's more famous?" I said, "Jesus Christ." I'm not taking any chances. I'm not going to have an argument. Hey, I'm not having any arguments. Jesus Christ. I'm not going to take any chances. I'll give it, I guarantee. And let me look up and I'll say, and it's not even close. We will stop the radical indoctrination of our students and restore patriotic education to our schools. We will teach our children to love our country, honor our history, and always respect our great American flag. And we will live by the timeless words of our national motto, "In God we trust." And that won't be changed. They took the word God out of the Pledge of Allegiance, and they got absolutely decimated. They put it back. They said, no, we didn't mean it, and then they took it out a couple of other times. That's where they're going, but it's not going to happen. Not even going to come close. For years, you had a president who apologized for America. Now you have a president who is standing up for America and standing up for the great people of North Carolina.
I can't vote for any Democrats because they are left. My faith will not allow me to do that. They are anti-life. I always want life. I don't want babies to be killed. I love the way my president talked about Jesus last night. That blew my mind. I can't. When he has his rough edges, he's not a perfect man, and I love the way he expresses himself. He doesn't mind words. He says things the way he loves it, and some people don't like that. But he blew my mind last night, and I was weeping like a baby when he said, "Jesus Christ
is the boss."
Is the boss.
Democrats think they can run over your lives, overrule your values, meddle in your faith, and tell you how to live, what to say, and where to pray. But we know that parents, not bureaucrats, know best how to raise their children and create a thriving society. And we know that families and churches, not government officials, know best how to create a strong and loving community. And above all else, we know this. In America, we don't worship government, we worship God.
The first part of a situation that is extremely troubling, first of all for the state of Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and then for a number of other states. And these lawsuits will be brought starting on Monday. But the first time it was discovered was here in Pennsylvania just a couple of days ago. The people you see behind me are just a few of about, I'd say, 50 to 60 poll watchers who will all testify that they were uniformly, we'll wait, that they were uniformly deprived of their right to inspect any single part of the mail-in ballots. As you know, from the very beginning, the mail-in ballots were a source of some degree of skepticism, if not a lot of skepticism, as being innately prone to fraud. The New York Times had written that 10 years ago under other circumstances, but of course changed their mind once it was a situation involving President Trump. Congresswoman Jordan, in her vast and compendious review of various forms of voter fraud, cited mail-in ballots as the most prone to fraud. With all that, you would have expected there'd be a high degree of security and a high degree of inspection that would be provided for mail-in ballots. Instead, in the wisdom of the officials, Democrat officials here in a city that's been Democrat for 60 years and has a very long history of voter fraud, documented history of voter fraud, instead of going to a high degree of care to allow inspections of the mail-in ballots, there was no inspection of a single mail-in ballot. Those mail-in ballots could have been for anybody. Those mail-in ballots could have been for anybody they wrote in. Those mail-in ballots could have been written the day before by the Democratic Party hacks that were all over the convention center. What I'm saying to you is not a single one was inspected as the law required. Even when a court order was obtained to allow the Republican inspectors to get 6 feet closer, they moved the people counting the ballots 6 further feet away. It's really simple. If you have nothing to hide with these mail-in ballots, you allow inspection. I mean, this is common knowledge, common practice in the examination of absentee ballots, which happens all the time. You take out the absentee ballot, you open it up, the Republican looks at it, the Democrat looks at it. If nobody objects, you put it in the pile. If either objects, you put it aside. That's what's done for absentee ballots, which have the extra security of having signatures you can match. Here, which is a much more insecure method of voting, no Republican got a chance to look at that ballot. Some of the ballots you will see looked suspicious. From very far away, they look like same pen, possibly same handwriting. We can't say that because we never got to see it. And now, you're also going to find that way across, on the other side of the state, there is a similar situation in Pittsburgh involving 300,000 ballots that were uninspected, unreviewed, not observed by a single Republican. Not a single one. It's got to be a pattern. As a friend of mine says, I don't believe in conspiracies, but I also don't believe in coincidences. Kind of funny that all Republicans were rejected here, and all Republicans were rejected in Pittsburgh, and it amounts to about, just about the 700,000 votes that President Trump was ahead by 2 days ago that disappeared. And we have no way of knowing, because we were deprived of the right to inspect, if a single one of those ballots is legitimate. That is unheard of. It's illegal. It's unconstitutional. And we will be bringing an action challenging that. And I emphasize to you, it's only one of the many other infirmities in this election. I know this city has a sad history of voter fraud. After all, Joe Frazier is still voting here. Kind of hard since he died 5 years ago, but Joe continues to vote. If I recall correctly, Joe was a Republican. so maybe I shouldn't complain. But we should go see if Joe is voting Republican or Democrat now from the grave. Also, Will Smith's father has voted here twice since he died. I don't know how he votes because his vote is secret. In Philadelphia, they keep the votes of dead people secret. At least that is something that you can be commended for. I'm not attacking the people of Philadelphia. I'm attacking a decrepit democratic machine, which has a lot of other reasons to be attacked. It's been around for 65 years. You keep electing the same people. The city gets no better. The crime goes way through the roof. The riots you have, the police stand by and watch it, not because of the police, because you have a mayor that lets them stand by and watch it. You got a district attorney who lets people go free. You are poorly served, ladies and gentlemen of Philadelphia. And then you got a political machine. Mayors who let riots take place, district attorneys who set criminals free. I don't think they're going to care much about ballot fraud. This is outrageous. In an enormously important contest with a very, very suspect method of voting, there was no security. Zero. The people of this city, people of this country, have no assurance at all that those ballots were actually cast. They would have to have been almost unanimously cast for Joe Biden in order to catch up. And let me have one or two of the people. Let me emphasize, this is only 2 or 3 of about 50 people so far that have given us statements, affidavits, recordings. We're going to have many, many witnesses. It's not a small case. It can be a big case. But I wanted you to get the flavor of it here in Philadelphia, because we also have to alert the people of Pittsburgh that the same fraud was done to them as here. And I'll also add, same thing was done in Georgia. The same thing was done in Michigan. The same thing was done in North Carolina. Seems to me somebody from the Democratic National Committee sent out a little note that said, don't let the Republicans look at those mail-in ballots, at least not in the big Democratic hack cities that we control. We've done a lot to destroy those cities, and now we're going to destroy their right to vote.
Hello, America. Hello, Georgia. Let me be frank and earnest. There's a dead cat on the end of this line, and it's stinking. It's stinking with fraud. It's stinking with lack of transparency. It's stinking with non-accountability. And it's stinking with those who call themselves wanting to have fair elections. It's stinking with their absence. Where is fair fight if you're standing for people's rights and their right to vote, and every vote is counted, every legal vote is counted? Where is fair fight? I'll tell you where fair fight is. Fair fight to that crowd is fair when their man is still in the election. That's when it's fair to them. As a member of the Georgia General Assembly, 12-year member, it is my duty to speak up for every Georgian when their vote is not being counted, when their vote is not being counted accurately, and when there's all this type of irregularities taking place. Why haven't we called on Jimmy Carter to come? He can go to other countries and see their process through. And I don't mean that in a bad sense, because I like one of our native sons, President Carter, but he needs to be here if he's for fair votes, accountability, and transparency. That's what I like about Donald Trump. He travels with a set of twins. One named accountability and the other one named transparency. That's what I like about him. I've had Democrats, Republicans, black, white, gay, the whole across the whole state of Georgia. Matter of fact, across this country, saying what is going on in Georgia. I may not agree with your candidate, Vernon, but if they take my vote, if they take your vote away from you, they're taking my vote away from me. That's the American spirit. And what I see happen, this is a sham. This is a sham, and it's disgraceful. and criminal. I think it has the potential of criminality here. I just want, like every Georgian want, we want things to be done by the book. We can send a man to the moon, but we can't count votes accurately. I'm talking about the legal ones now. And we can't do it within 24 hours. How does a state the size of California get theirs in and Georgia can't get its in? That's because if you look, an example of the pandemic of failed leadership is where all these Democrats who are running these cities and overseeing these county elections, that's where you see, literally, I was getting ready to say something, but I'll be all over the damn news. Well, let me say this. I hope the news media learn from this. It's been you carrying the false narrative of these false polls coming from these liberal universities.
That's right.
And you and these pollsters have done more to interfere with this election than Russia and China combined. You have suppressed and depressed the voters of this country. But I'm going to tell you, we're going to fight. Last night I made a comment. We don't fight with violence. I'm not for violence. But we're going to fight to our last breath for our constitutional rights. To our last breath. And we'll take on Antifa, Black Lives Matter, Fair Fight, Stacey Abrams, all of them, because we're going to do what's right for the people of Georgia. And I want to give everybody a number to call. If you think you've been slighted, because I'm getting calls and letters, I know many of you are, and I know the media's gotten it too. I want you to call 470-410-8793. Report your fraud or report what has happened to you. Don't be afraid. Come up. If I can go through what I've gone through standing up for Georgians in America, you can too. And I don't care. I'm going to fight. If my party is wrong, I'm going to fight them to the end. As a matter of fact, my party has been wrong. There should be members of the Black Caucus here right now. The Democratic Caucus should be here right now. The Democratic Party should be here right now. Because this is about democracy. Our elections, if we don't get elections right here, where else can we go and get them right?